Hey, welcome to my little ASMR bedtime show where it's my job to help you find calm. And before you go away, here's a short review of what you can expect in this episode.
It was, paradise for me to be there. It was a wonderful place. So I think probably people did get accustomed to seeing me out in the woods a lot.
All too often, we tend to think that if we found aliens, they would want to talk to us. There is, in reality, no guarantee of this, however.
We don't know anything right now. The black smoke is hiding everything. But one day, that smoke will disappear.
So first of all, thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad. Welcome to my new bedroom, I guess. It's still kind of getting furnished, but I have my little Buddha back here and I have a nice lamp and lots of other plants as well. But I've been sleeping quite well here, and yeah, I hope that I will be able to help you find calm a bit. And is this really the most relaxing show in the world? Probably not, I don't know. But honestly, it's a bit tough to find stuff to listen to while falling asleep, and for me personally, I almost need something to fall asleep. I need to listen to something. I know I would prefer to not need that, but for the last years, I've almost always listened to audiobooks or to podcasts, and it can be tough for me because listening to comedy podcasts isn't really good. It's too high energy, too crime stuff, and too much suspense. Action audiobooks isn't great either. True crime isn't great either. Science podcasts can be good, but then again, too analytical, and they make my analytical mind work too much. So, and also I don't like these really boring ones where it's just somebody walking through a forest. So I need something that's a bit engaging, but then also pretty relaxing and not too exciting in a way. And maybe I can do that. I hopefully can fill that need. So what I thought I would be starting off with is a short trigger to start the whole ASMR bedtime show. And maybe you know this already. I made a video based on this cool trigger. It's basically a keyboard tester. If you don't know this, check out my previous video where I basically present this switch tester. So basically every key here sounds a bit different. My short ASMR trigger, and if you want to see more of this, check out my previous video. As I said, I'm really into mechanical keyboards, and I'm just kind of preparing the next one I want to build and buy for myself. Still thinking about which keycaps I should be getting and which switches I should be getting. I already ordered a case, namely the GMMK Pro case, which is only going to be shipped in February, I think, or Q1 2021. So really looking forward to this, and it's an amazing hobby to have, really fun. And yep. Alright, so I would say let's start with segment 1, which is what I've been thinking about this week. I'm just gonna read it out here. Again, you can find the full text when you subscribe to my newsletter at findcalm.com/Sunday. What I've been thinking about. If you've ever been to Japan, you might find it surprising that they have such a high life expectancy. They eat tons of meat and rice. They work too much and they typically don't look very fit. Still, Japan has a very low obesity rate. Almost everybody is slim. But the Japanese don't really have a workout culture. It's not like in the US or parts of Europe or Latin America. You won't see that many ripped guys with a huge biceps. And most people don't have a gym membership, and you don't see them jogging around like maniacs either. In surveys, half of Japanese say that they don't work out at all. And this is an actual study. But looking more closely, you'll find out the Japanese do exercise, but in a way that's weaved into their lifestyle. They walk. Japanese adults walk an average of 6,500 steps a day, which you'll know is pretty high if you've ever tracked your steps with a Fitbit or with your smartphone. And actual male young adults, they're at 8,000 or 10,000 even on average. And it's not unrealistically high, but that's about 30-40 minutes of walking per day, I would say. And this article that I read explains it pretty well. Most Japanese citizens live in very walkable cities where public transportation is convenient, safe, and affordable, and not many households own cars. As a consequence, when most people go to work, they walk. When people go grocery shopping, they walk. When people are going out for dinner, they walk. It's an activity adopted every day by every generation. Walking is a part of daily life like breathing is. That was pretty nice, right? And I have to say that walking is one of my favorite things to do. I guess I'm really old and boring if walking is the highlight of my day, but hey, so be it. It's one of the few things I do every day around lunchtime, even if it's only for 10 minutes. And you probably know this already, but walking has so many benefits. Here are some. I mean, first of all, our physiology is built for long distance walking. There's no doubt about it. My body is happy if I'm walking around instead of sitting all day, which in and of itself makes me tense and stressed out. And secondly, I'm getting some vitamin D, which is crucial for the immune system. And I read a study that 80% of COVID patients who got really sick from it lacked vitamin D, by the way. Also, I can run some errands, which is great because I tend to go to the supermarket, which is like half an hour away for grocery shopping. Also, I like to listen to podcasts or to audiobooks or calling up a friend. But what I generally try to do is have at least, let's say, half of my walking be in silence and just breathing and walking. Not always distracting myself, right? And you can actually make it an actual intense workout if you want, if you go on a steep hike. And if you don't believe me, I just did one recently, and if you really do it quite hardcore, you're gonna have sore muscles for like 1 week or something. So it can be an amazing workout, really. But I think there's a deeper reason why walking is great for us. Walking is more of a meditation, if done right. It's a deliberate choice for slowing down. Sure, there are more efficient ways to get to wherever you're going. I could save time by taking the car, or I could just build my muscles by running. But that's the point. I don't want to be efficient and productive all the time. There's a place for running and lifting heavy weights, which I like too. But when I walk, I want to quiet that all too loud voice in my head down, which keeps on telling me that I need to do more and pushes me to achieve. Walking is a conscious choice to move from this doing mode to just being. It shows me that not everything in life needs to be hard. I don't need to struggle, to fight, to torture myself in order to feel good about myself. What a luxury it is to spend just 30 minutes just taking a walk. I really think so. There's no goal in walking, really. There's no time to beat. I can't be amazingly good at it or bad at it. I just do it, and I do it for myself. Yeah, that's basically it. Do you like walking too? I think you could consider it to be a bit of a boring topic, but I also listened to a podcast with Ben Greenfield, who is kind of an ultra endurance athlete who has been doing all these Tough Mudder and ultra marathons and triathlons. And he actually said, yeah, no, I prefer to walk more because it's just more, I don't need to push myself all the time. I don't need to be such a type A achiever mode all the time. And if you're more of a type A achiever personality, maybe this would be something good for you as well, right? And just maybe to incentivize you to walk a bit, I have a few images from last weekend where we actually did a nice walk in the Swiss mountains, and it was quite beautiful, but it was very steep, and I really had sore muscles afterwards too. And I don't exactly remember the name of the mountain. It had a weird name. It was like 2,300 meters high, very steep the last 1 hour, but it was fun. It was a great time. And to be honest, maybe saying fun isn't really the right word. Walking up a steep mountain isn't really fun per se, like bowling is, or jumping in a pool and getting drunk is fun. But I think this is what makes it so precious, because I have this voice in my head which tells me, this sucks, I don't like to walk here and I need to take a break. And I actually had quite a hard time getting up there really quickly. But then especially afterwards, when your muscles are sore, it's just such a great feeling because your mind is kind of empty. It's hard to describe, but it's kind of like the same feeling I have when I go to the sauna and then jump in the cold plunge and then just lay there for a while. That's the same feeling I have when I walk intensely for half a day or a full day and then just sit somewhere. It's a great feeling, and your mind stops being so overactive all the time, which I think is amazing. So yeah. Okay, so I would say let's go to the unintentional ASMR recommendations now. Okay, number one is Viggo Mortensen, most famous for his role as Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, but he's also been in many other movies like I think Into the Wild, and he's a great actor overall. And what you maybe didn't know is that he actually speaks 7 languages, I think, or even more, fluently also, which is insane. And I love that he's such a polyglot, that he's such a cultured man. I think he loves to be outside and to fish. He really kind of lives like a wildlife in a way, but he has a super soft voice and I love it. So here's a preview from this interview or this compilation where he speaks in different languages.
He's at the start of what I think is going to be an important career. He does a great job as Bo, the eldest son, and he's also a kind man and you know, very sensitive person. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. And very well read. I mean, we spend a lot of time playing music together in our free time and sharing poetry.
Que yo pensaba, bueno, acá puedo aprender algo y esto puede llegar a ser una película que me gustaría ver a mí en el cine. Eso es lo que siempre he hecho, pero es diferente pensar, bueno, me gustaría estar en una película como esta, pero si no sos conocido no te van a...
Der kom fra USA, der ikke var vant til klimaet, og hvor tørt og hvor varmt det var, og vinden og alt den sand, der var i luften hele tiden. Men det var så smukt. Det var så usædvanligt.
Et d'ainsi redonner une petite place dans vos cœurs à l'un de vos fils les plus célèbres. Juste avant le tournage du film, جيت للجزائر وهدي باش نوجد روحي. J'étais très content de me promener dans les rues de votre belle ville et de découvrir votre culture.
And by the way, I also made a previous compilation of his where he was interviewed about his Lord of the Ring role, which I like too.
Well, I didn't have really any time off to speak of, so I think when people saw me, I was usually dressed for work. Much of what we filmed was in the natural environment of New Zealand, which is, you know, really beautiful. And I do like hiking and camping and fishing, and, you know, I like to be outdoors, so it was, even though it was a difficult job sometimes, it was, you know, paradise for me to be there. It was a wonderful place, so I think probably people did get accustomed to seeing me out in the woods a lot, but it would have been spending a year and a half in New Zealand if I hadn't, paid attention and taken advantage of the opportunity to explore those rivers and forests and mountains. I would have felt I had wasted my time in a way, that I had lost a valuable opportunity.
The more variety you give them in terms of what you do in takes or what you offer the other actor, the more chance of something interesting happening. If you don't do anything thinking, well, they'll never use it, then you're giving them nothing. And when we're going at the rate we're going here, it doesn't seem like it. Here I am fishing and all that, but that's because I'm waiting between shots. But we don't have much time to get it really right, so the more you can throw out there, the bigger the better. I think I better go learn my lines and forget about this for a while.
Okay, so number 2 is maybe not such a relaxing topic, but I found it quite interesting and also relaxing, the voice of the doctor. So it's a Dr. Brian Stutterer, MD, who talks about the rib injury of Tyron Woodley. You might have seen the UFC fight against Colby Covington, very devastating loss, and he explains the MRI pictures of the rib injury, and quite interesting, quite relaxing too. Check it out.
But now with the CT scan, we can confirm that Woodley was in fact hurt, and this wasn't just him faking it to get out of the fight. Looking here at the image shared from Woodley's CT scan, of course this is a CT, it's not an X-ray. A CT scan is basically a series of X-rays in small slices through the body, put together to give you this kind of continuous image of the body. This view is what we call a coronal view, meaning it's straight on at the front of his chest. This is going to be the right side of his body, this is going to be the left side of his body, and thankfully, he's already circled here where you can see that injury. So if we look over here on the right side, you can see nice continuity between the cartilage up by the sternum all the way through to the rib. But here on the left, right where that pain was, you can see this clear kind of malalignment from where the ribs was either separated or possible fractured to that cartilage rib complex. This bright white structure is going to be his sternum or the breastbone, and then this black down here is going to be the air inside of his intestines. It's likely that twisting that caused the rib to separate even further, causing that extreme pain. As Woodley said, this was some of the worst pain of his life, and that's definitely understandable. Between every rib, we have these intercostal nerves that supply the innervation to those ribs, and then the muscles of the intercostals that help with breathing.
Another relaxing channel is John Michael Gaudier, who makes interesting content about several topics, and this one was 10 different scenarios how aliens could contact us, or different hypotheses basically that he goes through. He's a smart guy, but also he has a great voice for falling asleep, so check it out.
Indeed, we've been searching in anticipation of finding evidence of alien civilizations for decades. But when it happens, what will first contact be like? Science fiction has taken on this question multiple times in movies like Contact or E.T., but the reality of first contact, should it ever happen, may be very different than how science fiction has generally depicted it. So here are 10 alien first contact scenarios. Number 10. Silent aliens. All too often, we tend to think that if we found aliens, they would want to talk to us. There is, in reality, no guarantee of this, however. Alien civilizations may not hide their existence, and can thusly be discovered through bio or technosignatures, but they may not know of our existence, at least until we send a dedicated radio signal to them. It's also possible that they may have no interest in interacting with us, deeming us either too primitive or too distant to make much difference to them. When you read a book written by an ancient person, whether it's from the world of the Greeks, the Romans, the records and poems of the ancient Chinese, this represents a telescoping of the ancient world into our modern world of today. The ancients speak to us through writing and archaeology. Could this be the case with the Milky Way galaxy? Is most contact between civilizations archaeological instead of active? We are relative newcomers to things like electricity and the advancing technology dependent on it, and we're even newer to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or for that matter, radio. Because of that, until the last 100 years, it would actually have been very difficult for an alien civilization to even know there was someone here to contact. And there's also the possibility that we still aren't interesting enough to bother with. This could lead to a situation where they simply establish first contact as soon as we reach a certain level of development, or at least become detectable to the aliens. This ultimately means that not much further out than 100 light years, it's not yet possible for an alien civilization to detect a technosignature from this world. Within that distance, they might know we're here and have sent a contact message, but there simply hasn't been enough time for their signal to reach us.
And then finally, I made a compilation of a Japanese documentary about the creation of Little Witch Academia. It's not the same as My Hero Academia. It's basically a similar setting, I would say. And I didn't really watch that anime myself, but I found it super interesting to see how an anime gets created, like the actual TV version of it, so to say. There's many young people who draw these different scenes, and it has to be a really tough job, but I thought the female narrator had a great voice, but also the people, some of them had really relaxing voices, so I really enjoyed it, so check it out.
2週間でこんなのかけた試しないですよ。
そんなことないでしょ。
いや、ないですよ。
今なんか思い出せないだけだな。コンテ用紙に直で書くの結構なんかやり直しが効かないっていうか、間にこうもう1カット入れたりとか、このカット外したりとかいう時にちょっと面倒なことになるのがなんかちょっとストレスというか。
逆に箱書きだとその描きたい絵しか浮かばなくて、そのカットつなぎをどうしようとかっていうのを。
ちょっと最初からパースがつきすぎてるかなという。ちょっともうこれが小さいとしてもちょっと。腰がこう下がってるポーズなんだけど、なんかこう前にグッと乗り出す時もずっとこのポーズなんで、ちょっとこの辺流れをこうなったり、こう力が入る時はこっち側に反らせるとか、流れを作んないとちょっと力がグッと伝わった感じが出ないんで、ちょっとポーズの変化のメリハリをつけるっていうか。やった方がいいかなと思いますね。こう円を描くようにちょっと指動作をとって動かす方がそうだと思います。
力が逃げちゃうとか、こんな考えたことなかったかもしれないです。全然違いますよ。全然違います。気持ちよさとか、あと何ですか。
Alright, let's go to the next segment, which is called Something I've Enjoyed This Week. So, there's many things I've enjoyed this week, but one thing in particular is the anime on Netflix called Dorohedoro. It's originally made by a woman, her initials is Q something, and it's produced by the infamous anime studio MAPPA, which also made many other great anime adaptations. Just recently the Jujutsu Kaisen, which is amazing. You should check it out on Crunchyroll. There's only 7 episodes out right now, but all of them are amazing. And I think Dorohedoro is also really well made. What I like especially is the artwork. And also the setting, to be honest, I think it's amazing. So it kind of plays in a post-apocalyptic world, which in and of itself I love. The main protagonists are a lizard man called Kaiman and a woman called Nikaido, who's super hot, by the way, but that's a bit the downside. But this lizard man basically lost his memory. He got cursed by a sorcerer, and now his face is like a lizard face, and he basically wants to find out who did it. And both of these protagonists live in the Hole, which is kind of like a really effed up Fallout-like world. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but I love the setting. There's another world too, which is outside of the Hole, which is like the sorcerer's world. And these sorcerers seem to kind of exploit the Hole. They employ magic with, they kind of do experiments on the inhabitants of the Hole. And it's kind of, it becomes a bit strange, the story, like in most animes. Basically, there's another group of protagonists almost around a really powerful magician in the sorcerer's world, and two people who work for him who are actually kind of like other heroes as well. So it's not really clear who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. But what I actually wanted to talk about is the artwork, which I really love so much. I think the adaptation is beautiful. The only thing I don't love so much is sometimes it's a bit of a 3D CGI, which I'm not a huge fan of. But in general, the artwork is a bit retro, I would say. It's very detailed and I love it very much. And there were just a few moments where I thought, wow, this is beautiful. And this picture evokes some emotions inside of me. And I wanted to show you some of these moments and just kind of what I thought about. And if you want to watch an anime that's kind of confusing but also has great action scenes, it's pretty brutal, to be honest, and a bit confusing. It doesn't have just a linear arc in the first season, at least. I would really recommend you watch this anime. It's great. And just for the sake of the beautiful artwork, which really moved me in a way. So here are some moments and my commentary.
Hole is getting warped because of them.
Yeah, I really love this artwork and the whole atmosphere, the metallic sounds, which remind me a bit of the game Machinarium, which is an amazing adventure. And the colors, the level of detail on the coloring, I think is amazing. And I think the 3D CGI isn't done over the top, so it's still okay. There's a few moments where I don't love it, but in general I think it's very well done. And the fight scenes are just so well. Sometimes there's like a rotating camera in the fight scenes and it's impressive, really.
I can't take it anymore. Nikaido, would you hurry up and get me that food?
Bon appetit!
Oh! Ho ho ho! Ah! Yummy! Get ready, you sorcerers! Tomorrow I'm gonna find you and make you wish you had never been born!
I really love this charming small restaurant. Hungry Bug is a great name as well, and it's kind of like where a lot of the scenes happen. And I love it. I don't know, the atmosphere. The gyoza looks so tasty, and I remember having gyoza myself in Japan, in like a fast food place, but it was really tasted amazing. I ate it with soy sauce, and I had like 20 pieces or something, so it was.
If you come across anyone you find to be suspicious, I want you to bring him to me. Do you understand?
Yes! I won't let you down, sir!
Those details are so crazy, right? This magician, sorcerer with all these mushrooms and his magic and this weird book with the teeth on it. Like, how do you even get those ideas? really love this house. It's so loud and it reminds me of some urban hell. The house in and of itself looks kind of charming actually, but then the hellscape around it, the noise of a train and the industrial noises. For some reason, this urban hell has something calming to me. I just gotta say, I really love this artwork, the cool neon signs, the Japanese signs, and the small elements of what once maybe was a vibrant Japanese city. As you can see on the sign, the geisha districts which still exist in cities like Kanazawa and so on, I think, were kind of like the red light streets back in the day, and it's really cool that this element still exists in this whole, and I just love the whole feeling, the colors, the artwork, the fight. It's really well made.
We couldn't find my head, my memories, my real face, my name. We don't know anything right now. The black smoke is hiding everything. But one day, that smoke will disappear. At least, that's what I believe.
Alright, let's talk about the last segment, intentional ASMR recommendations. So my first recommendation is by Stacy Astor, who made kind of a masterpiece, 1.5 hours with 17 different triggers. You only see the triggers in close up. I like it a lot. I think my favorite trigger was like her nails tapping on a golden bag, and I really liked it, so check it out. And then secondly, there's Atlas ASMR, who I think is really underappreciated. He makes amazing content, and in this video he plays a man in a train, on a train, an old school man, like an 1800s man. He has great props, a great outfit, a camera, a newspaper and everything, so I loved it, so check it out.
You do have a rather intelligent face. And a rather charming air about you. Do you get that all the time? No, just me. A mysterious gentleman on a train. What is the time? $11. Okay, that gives us, it's a few hours until we arrive. It's quite late. Well, you see, I'm rather a photography enthusiast. Have you seen one of these before? It's brand new. This is from Kodak. No, they sell the latest in camera technology. The thing I like about this is you have rather no idea how to get into it, were it not for a secret button that sits just on the top, over here. And if you press it, it just pops right open. Oh, will you look at this? It's a thing of absolute beauty. Now, if we simply slide it out, it just clicks into place there. And there we have it. Brand new Kodak camera.
And then I can't omit him, ASMR Zeitgeist, who made like a slimy slug video and many different other triggers, which are really intense and deep in-ear triggers, you could say. I don't know where he got those slugs from. They're kind of unpleasant, to be honest. If you have a garden, you're not loving slugs, but this was an amazing video as usual, and I just want to show you a few moments of it. As you might know, I really like those flight attendant role plays, just the personal attention. There's many other great ones like Maddie Tingles, and I think, yeah, almost everyone. Ghibli probably made one too, and Mariah probably made one too. But this one was by Ting Ting ASMR, and she really did it impeccably, I would say. I like the nuts and the different condiments she has, and I just thought it was a beautiful roleplay, so maybe check out a few moments from this as well.
Here is a hot towel for your hands. Now you can just relax. Let me get some drinks and snacks for you. I'll be right back. So for this drink, I will add some of these This is very crispy and delicious nuts. This one is honey roasted flavor. I think it's the best. So, would you like to give it a try? Okay, let me give you some. Wow, it smells so nice. I know it's really a little bit dry in here. I'm sorry about that. But I will use some products. Make sure your skin and also your hair won't feel dry or looks frizzy. It's a very watery texture. We're not making some products will make your hair feels very sticky or oily. This one won't. Okay, now I'm gonna touch your hair, just apply a little bit. Okay, just got a little bit on the hands. As you can see, the shape can very good match with your neck.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining me again for this little ASMR show, and I hope you enjoyed this as well. And if you have any feedback on what you would like to see more of or less of, please kindly let me know. And I have a lot of great ideas on what I would like to do. As I said, I would maybe like to make this a podcast, just upload it as a podcast as well on iTunes and Android, just so people can listen to it without the YouTube, having to leave YouTube on. And to me it would be a great feeling to know that I can help people fall asleep, give them something that is kind of engaging and interesting, but then also which is kind of like relaxing and helps them just chill out, because there's not that much stuff that does both, right? And for me personally, that's a bit of an issue. I've been listening to some like Sherlock Holmes stuff, which sometimes gets a bit dark and exciting, which can be problematic, and sometimes some kind of scientific podcast like Lex Friedman or something, but then again, he has a pretty mesmerizing, boring voice, which is good, but then again, it's not always ideal to fall asleep. I downloaded some audiobooks on Audible, which the problem is when I fall asleep for a long time, I don't know where I left off, and then I end up stopping listening to the audiobook, so it can be kind of tough, right? And maybe just to ramble a bit, what I talked about previously, the whole not having to be efficient, I think that's something that's really important to me. I have to remind myself of this almost, because otherwise I always feel super bad if I haven't been productive the whole day, which is a bit unfortunate. Like, it's a bit of a curse, right? On the one hand, I want to create something, I want to be creative. On the other hand, I'm also kind of never really happy with what I create. And also the fact that I always want to do something creative prevents me from just slacking off and just enjoying my life and just being lazy and just doing whatever I want, and that's unfortunate. My brain is definitely living in the future, which I think, living in the future produces anxiety. Living in the past produces depression, living in the present produces mindfulness. That's the ideal, right? But I feel like my modus operandi is living in the future. At the same time, yeah, this is something I want to build on. This is something I want to get better at. Because, yeah, sometimes it gets quite bad because I have this really high standard that I measure myself against. Like, I have to be this productive and I have to do this and that. And if I don't achieve these goals or these tasks, it's like a big weight on me, right? I have so many tasks lined up on my Google Calendar and in my little notebook and in my ideas book that it weighs on me, right? It's like something that weighs on me and weighs me down. And I guess that's my curse in a way, and I guess that's the poison that I have to swallow. I don't think that's something I can get rid of completely, but I think it's fine because mostly when I'm doing creative stuff, I still enjoy it somewhat. And I maybe need it to not go insane. I mean, I think I've read it somewhere or in an unintentional ASMR video. I think the one with Roald Dahl, who said, if I'm not writing a book, I'm going insane. It was somebody else maybe, but I'm kind of like, I think it might have been one of those big Ken Follett or something, one of those big authors, maybe on James Altucher, sorry, saying, I'm tough to deal with if I don't write. So in a sense, writing is difficult, doing something hard is difficult, but then again, it's almost necessary because if you don't have anything to work towards, you're becoming insufferable in many ways. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to swallow. Many of you maybe aren't type A personalities, you have other things you struggle with. I think something I have to remind myself of almost every day is that there's a big part of how we feel which isn't in our locus of control. We can't really... Sometimes you just wake up in a bad mood, at least for myself, and it's almost lasting for the full day. And no matter what I do, it's gonna stay there for the full day. It's almost like a funk, and I have to accept this. It's okay, I would say. I think what I've been doing more, which is good, is if somebody asks me to do something, I generally say yes, almost always. I haven't been doing so much exciting stuff. I think most of us haven't with COVID around. But still, in general, saying yes to stuff that initially you don't want to do, I think is generally a good thing for introverts like me and for INFJs or for people who generally are a bit pessimistic. Because it's similar to the mountain, to hiking, the thing I talked about. I think that applies to everything in life almost. It's like The Dip, the book by Seth Godin. At the beginning you kind of hate it, and it's like a struggle. You have to force yourself, and you're like, why am I doing this? And then it might actually suck for most of the time, and it might actually get worse when you're walking because your feet start to hurt. But then after a while it's like, oh, it's getting better. And then if you're there at some point, or maybe it's not even when you're there, maybe it's afterwards, after you're at the summit of the mountain, you feel, hey, this was good. It's good that I did this. Some of us have difficult brains, and if you have people in your life who can be fine with those difficult brains, it's amazing. With a complex brain, yeah. If you have somebody who's loving and who's kind and who you can laugh with, I think that's the best medicine. I think laughter and not taking everything so seriously is the best medicine against a hyper-analytical, tense, kind of negative, pessimistic brain in general. And so yeah, sometimes seeing how ridiculous life is in many ways is just the only thing we can do and the only thing we should do. So I'm not sure if there's a message so much. I just think, yeah, it's good to do hard things, but then again, it's good to do things that aren't that hard. Just taking a walk, getting out of your achieving mindset, because what are you trying to do? This is your life. Right now is when you're supposed to live. There is no future in 10 years when you're going to be able to do all your stuff. You should live now, in a way. I know there's many things we can't do right now because of lockdowns and everything, but don't postpone stuff that you know is gonna be good for you. And that's actually super tricky for me. I still forget every time what's good for me. I mean, I know that sauna is good for me and taking a cold shower is good for me, but still I don't really do it that often. Right now it's a bit tough with COVID, it's dangerous. But I know after I took a big hike that it's good for me. But still, when I start the hike, I hate it, kind of. I don't want to do it again. It's almost as if my brain is my enemy, in a way. So you have to remind yourself every day that you have to do these things that you know are good for you. And also not do the things that you know are bad for you, if you can. And yeah, this is just maybe obvious in a way. But I really appreciate you being with me and being on this channel. Recently I've uploaded quite a bit of casino videos, which probably, or maybe you didn't appreciate so much. Just so you know, I'm not addicted at all. I think that's something where I'm a bit unique. I don't have an addictive gene, I think. I mean, I've never really woken up and thought, oh, I just want to gamble. I think I'm almost too cynical and a bit too intelligent, without trying to be too arrogant here and too narcissistic. I'm a bit too intelligent and too good at statistics to get addicted to gambling. At the same time, I find it quite relaxing. I think it's kind of chill to play some blackjack. But even the way I'm playing, there's no big payoff. There's no big losses. And on average, I still lose money, which is okay. But I really think for the personalities that are on there, I think it's quite relaxing and I enjoy doing this, and I might try some new games out, but it's not something I do every day, just so you know, and it's not my favorite hobby that I do every night. A few times I did it like with a friend. To be honest, yeah, I watched a video. For some people in Germany, for instance, when you live in a small village, there's not that much to do. There's not like a great bar or club that you could go to, so what do you do at night if you're kind of like drunk? And if you can't do anything, everything closes down. You go to a bar or to a casino where you can play some roulette or some stupid blackjack or some online slot machine game, which is kind of giving you some dopamine hits, right? That's an unfortunate reality, how some people get addicted actually, and I really feel bad for those who lose tens of thousands of dollars with these stupid games, but it's just the way it is. So I want to create more videos. I'm already looking forward to stuff I want to do, some pure ASMR videos, but also I think some unintentional ASMR shows in a way, some other formats that I'm trying to do. And just by the way, did you hear about YouTube wanting to monetize all the non-monetized channels? I think it would really suck, because my best unintentional ASMR channel on purpose is not monetized. And I think maybe eventually YouTube is gonna start putting ads on those, which I kind of am not looking forward to. I hope they're not gonna roll it out right away. I don't know, I'll have to think about something, because they want to make money on all those creator channels. I think it's unfortunate, and is it legal? I don't know. You could say it's their platform, but I don't know if it should be legal. And I think it's a bit unfortunate, and it's gonna lead to more people using Adblocker and maybe using other channels and other platforms like BitChute or something. So yeah. So in any case, how's it going? Do you have a good week and month? I hope that yeah, you've been doing okay recently. And I think those good news about the vaccines hopefully give you some hope. And I'm a bit scared, to be honest, about the vaccines, about putting them in, but if the doctors tell me that it's okay, and if a few million people have done it, then I'm gonna get it too. Because I'm really looking forward to life getting back to normal, to little stores opening up again, to restaurants opening up again, to small businesses being saved. I think this is something that I would be very happy about, and I kind of really would like this to happen, you know. Sometimes I feel what I said in the last minutes is kind of too superficial. In many cases, what my brain always wants to do, I think I want to write like an article about this as well. My brain always wants to go deep. I always want to see, okay, what's the controversial thing? What's the contrarian thing? How can I make this topic deep? I don't want to only think about love and how it's, like the cliche stuff about love. Is there love at first sight, and is it hard to fall in love? Is it just chemistry? But what I'm really interested in is the deep stuff, the kind of dark stuff, like how much of love is just lust and codependence. For instance, how are men and women different in how they approach love? Are they even biologically, evolutionarily designed to stay together all of their lives? How can you make it work? Which could be factors that make it more difficult? Is male and female sexuality in a way diametrically opposed to each other? These are the topics which I'm super fascinated about, but then again, it's tough to find people to talk about these topics, and it's not something you can bring up at the brunch table with most people, which makes me a bit of a loner, I guess, because that's the only topics I'm really interested in, right? So for me, it's almost physically painful to sit with with some boomers or with some people my age even, and just talk about the weather and about jobs and about Trump, about COVID, about the lockdown. There's no substance there really, right? I want to go deeper. I want to know what's the controversial stuff, and it doesn't have to be negative. It could be something exciting. It should be something new, and for me to be, it should be stimulating in some way, right? It shouldn't just be like, oh, that's the same stuff. Here is my job, it's kind of tough. There's this person annoying me. It's just the same record over and over again. It's the same for books and these romance novels, and which is why most Hollywood movies aren't interesting to me, and how most Netflix series aren't interesting to me. Honestly, I don't really watch Netflix because it's just so predictable in many ways, and even if it isn't predictable, it doesn't stimulate me so much because there's not really a deep underlying topic. With the Japanese animes, I think that's a super interesting topic too. How are they so confusing in many ways? I want to write about this too. I haven't figured it out completely. Is it that their culture is so different? Is it that they didn't have this kind of storytelling that we in Europe have and Hollywood has as well, which is based, I guess, on these Joseph Campbell archetypes, the hero who has to fight the dragon and save the princess. That's the only element that you really see in animes, the romance that doesn't really happen, but you kind of wish would happen. That's something you see all the time, which is a bit cliche and boring to me, but other than that, animes are so strange. It's like a fever dream. It's like sometimes, why? It's just confusing. It doesn't make any sense. It's like literally your worst arch enemy can become your best friend in some sense, and you don't know how to feel about people. Is it artistic? Is it amazing? I don't know, or is it just lazy, or is it just that they come from a different tradition? It's really hard to say, and it's a puzzle I wasn't able to solve yet. Also looking at, you see that in all the art they produce in a way. You see that in, let's say, even in Korea sometimes it's a bit different, like Golden Boy, or this recent one where this Parasite, it's not really clear what the motto is, what the message is. You don't really root for anybody, right? It's really tough. But even if in video games like Dark Souls, it's random, it's confusing, it's cryptic. It's on purpose, I guess, but it's still very cryptic. But then again, every anime I've watched after a while gets so weird. Hunter x Hunter, there's this super enemy, like the super powerful guy who just starts playing like chess with like a sick girl or something instead of killing people. It gets so weird. And Jujutsu Kaisen, this one was pretty, I guess, kind of out there too in some moments, but pretty linear and pretty normal, I would say. And probably Dragon Ball in a way was like that as well, right? People fighting, there's a storyline. Even there it's kind of weird, right? Why does Piccolo and Vegeta, those uber evil homicidal people, become these super sweet kind guys who are with there's Son Goku? Doesn't make too much sense either. But then there are so many other ones, like even the popular ones, where I'm like, I don't know why they do this. Even in the one I talked about today, the I forget the name, Dora, the one with the Kai Man, right? It becomes so strange. Like there's a baseball game. There's this party where you select your partner. There's the guy who transforms everything in mushrooms. But he's this super powerful sorcerer, but he has this small puppy who he loves. And it's just so strange after a while. And then the two protagonists, I don't want to spoiler too much, but they fight each other, but then they don't. And it's like, what the hell? It's, in a way, I still prefer it to the predictable Hollywood stuff, because it's just like a fever dream. It's like dreaming, actually. It's like when I sleep, it doesn't make any sense. And that's how animes are in many senses. It's just that, yeah, there's a few recurring archetypes. There's the hero who has to get accepted into a group. There's the rival. There's the love affair, and you hope it's going to work out, and the hero has to prove himself to win the lady over. That is all elements that do exist in anime and Japanese storytelling as well. But all the rest is almost non-existent. It's strange, and it's dark and vast and confusing. Or Bloodborne, it starts off as a reasonable story where you're like a hunter, but then you start, there's like there's a creator, and there's the original hunter. Are you living in his dream? You have to fight him, and then there's these aliens, and what the hell is this? It's a nightmare. But maybe that's how life is. Maybe we can't figure out life. Maybe it's just too complex, and maybe when the Japanese consume our Hollywood movies, they're like, what the hell, this is so boring, or that's so strange. But it's interesting to me. These are the topics that I'm thinking about quite a bit. But then again, it's an ongoing struggle, so to say, to stay on the narrow path of doing the right things and doing the right things for you. And I hope the one takeaway for you is to take some time for yourself, do some things that are good for you. Don't always look at achieving more and doing more, and don't feel bad if you haven't been that productive in all this time, and if you haven't been this creative. At the same time, why not start now? Why not use the time that we're still kind of locked down here and start with your creative projects. It's hard, it's difficult, but I love it. I have so much love for all those podcasters out there who have like a few hundred views, who try their best, and the creators who are gaming, the Twitch streamers, all those people who really struggle but who keep at it. I think it's really about patience in many ways, but many of us won't ever be really successful, and that's fine too. So that's just me, I guess. So thank you so much for being here. This was a bit of a long rant, but I just wanted to share some thoughts at the end, and maybe to close off, I want to do some typing on my mini keyboard for you, okay? Alright, thank you so much, and have a good day, or sleep well. I like you so much, and I really appreciate you.